Guys, Elizabeth here with Tula Ananda, and today we're going to talk about our liver. On our podcast this month, Devin and I did an overview of the importance of the liver and talked about some of the ways that you can support your liver and how to identify if your liver might need a little bit of extra care. Some of those things we'll talk about in this, and we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into looking at the liver and how it supports us. If you'd like to check out that podcast, it is up on the website as well. You can always get it on Spotify. We usually post it on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, so you can access that there. You guys, as our monthly members, are going to get a little bit of a deeper dive into this information. So, we're just going to talk about the liver and why it's important. The liver is our body's master detox organ. So, what that means is pretty much everything that you encounter goes through the liver, whether you put it on your skin, you breathe it in, you eat it, drink it, whatever form that looks like, everything that we filter is filtered through our liver. It filters out toxins, it purifies the blood, it supports our digestion, it's partly responsible for bile production. It regulates our metabolism and our energy level, and it stores some of our essential nutrients. It is a critical part of our digestion and our overall metabolic process in the body. So, just some of the key functions we'll kind of highlight here at the beginning of our talk. Bile production. The liver produces bile, which is a digestive fluid that is responsible for the emulsification of fats. Bile helps to break down large fat globules into smaller droplets, making it easier for the enzymes like lipase to further digest the fats in the small intestine. So without that bile, you may feel discomfort when you ingest fats. And I'm not talking about like greasy food, but like, any type of fat that you're ingesting. Greasy food certainly is going to have an impact for sure, but any type of fat that you're eating, the bile production is important for the breaking down of that. Also, your gallbladder is part of that bile production. So it's also a part of the nutrient metabolism. After our nutrients are absorbed into the intestines, they enter the bloodstream and they're transported to the liver. The liver metabolizes these nutrients, converting them into forms that we can actually use in our body. For example, it converts glucose, sugar, to glycogen for storage, and it processes the amino acids which come from proteins that we eat. So all protein is made up of amino acids. There are 20, and there are 9 essential that we have to have through our food. So in addition to bile production, nutrient metabolism, it is also part of our detoxification system. It is our main detoxification system, in conjunction with the lymph. The liver filters and detoxifies harmful substances from the blood, including drugs, alcohol, and metabolic waste products. This process helps maintain a healthy internal environment for optimal digestion and overall health. So it's important that we remove these substances that we can't use, especially if we're talking about some of the environmental things that we encounter, harmful things that might be coming into our system through whether that's plastics or whatever you're encountering. It's also responsible for storing nutrients. The liver stores some essential vitamins like A, D, E, K, and B12. And also minerals such as iron and copper, which are vital for the various body functions, including our digestion. The liver also is part of the synthesis of proteins. The liver synthesizes many important proteins, including clotting factors and albumin. Albumin helps maintain osmotic pressure in the blood, which is important for the nutrient absorption and fluid balance in the body. The liver also helps with the regulation of blood sugar. The liver helps regulate blood sugar levels by releasing glucose into the bloodstream as needed. This is crucial for maintaining energy levels and ensuring that the body has a steady supply of glucose for digestion and other functions. Um, so as you can see, and these are just some of the things that the liver does. The liver is definitely essential for digestion because of that bile production, nutrient metabolism, detoxification, nutrient storage, protein synthesis, and then the blood sugar regulation. The health of our liver is going to impact the effectiveness of our digestion and our overall metabolic function. Again, going back to our energy levels and how we feel, this really is a good indicator of how your liver is functioning. So, some things that might be a sign that your liver is a little out of balance or needs a little support and care. Fatigue, feeling sluggish, and particularly in regard to digestion, if you're feeling that really like just tired after you eat and feeling really heavy, and as if it takes a long time for the food to metabolize. Also, one of the first things you may notice are skin issues, patches of eczema, itchy skin, rashes, acne. These are all going to be indications that the liver may need some support. Bloating and indigestion, again, going back to our metabolism and how the liver is functioning with that. Mood swings and irritability, feeling overwhelmed, feeling angry. The liver is considered like the seat of emotions. And so when the liver is overwhelmed or not functioning properly, we might become overwhelmed with some of these emotions. And then also headaches and overheating. Pitta plays a large role in the liver, and so you might feel that sensation of heat in the body, of feeling just hot. And then having headaches, specifically headaches behind the eyes, are a good indication that there might be some issues going on with the liver. Pitta kapha doshas are prone to liver congestion due to the heat and stagnation that is accompanied with the doshas of Pitta and Kapha. The Ayurvedic approach to liver care, we want to balance our Pitta and Kapha and to cleanse the liver. Um, Focusing on cooling, bitter, and astringent foods. If you think about where we're at right now, in the summer here in Ohio, or almost into summer, we're starting to get that heat outside. And so it becomes important, especially if you do have more of a Pitta or Pitta Kapha constitution, that we want to focus on these cool, bitter, astringent foods. And we're thinking about what's in season, greens, right now, leafy greens, salads, all of these fresh fruits that are going to be coming up in the summer. These are all going to be beneficial to eat. The most effective and easiest way to eat for your liver and for the season and your dosha is to just eat seasonally, locally accessed food. And then thinking about some gentle detoxification to support the liver. And we do have in our website here, you can purchase a liver, Love Your Liver cleanse that kind of walks you through a 3-day, just a gentle, very supportive cleanse that helps with getting the liver ready to take on the heat of the summer. And again, and you can do it anytime that you feel the liver needs some support. Hydration and herbal teas, especially in the heat, we want to make sure that we are hydrating. Ayurveda tends to lean more towards teas than just plain beverages, but water is obviously always a good choice as well. In Ayurveda, we do room temperature or warm or hot waters. And even in the summer, room temperature would still be the best option. And that relates to your digestive fire, your Agni. When we pour ice cold water onto our into our digestive tract, we're putting that fire out. So if you think about when you go to sit down and eat your food, you want to have that fire burning so that your food can be properly digested. So if you're drinking cold water with your meal, that's not the best way to support your digestive process. And then, in addition to staying hydrated, daily movement and self-care of our, not just our physical body, but also of our emotional, mental well-being. And we'll talk a little bit about those. An Ayurvedic approach to liver care focuses on balancing the doshas, our Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and promoting optimal liver function through diet, lifestyle, and herbal remedies. Some of the key practices and recommendations, again, thinking about dietary choices, liver-friendly foods, bitter, astringent, lighter foods, leafy greens, we mentioned, bitter gourd, turmeric, ginger, and garlic might be some of the spices that you use this time of year. We talked on the podcast about churnas. We do have a pitta churna for late spring and summer, and it does have some of those as turmeric, ginger, fennel, cumin, and coriander, I believe. And those are all going to help support the liver function as well as balancing out the food that you eat, especially if you are eating foods that maybe aren't aligned with the season or aren't aligned with your dosha. Those spices are really going to make a big difference in how your body digests that. Hydration, again, water, herbal teas, warm lemon water is a nice, gentle detoxification. And Devin and I talk a lot about this. This is how we start the day. Well, tongue scraping before anything goes into the body, tongue scraping, brushing the teeth, and then warm lemon water or hot lemon water. When we talked about that in the podcast. We talked about it multiple times in the podcast. It's really something that we are very supportive of, and it really helps to set the tone for the day. It helps your digestive process to get going, and it helps to gently flush the liver before you're putting anything else into the system. And so what that looks like is different for everybody. I like to do a fourth of a lemon. Devin likes to do half of a lemon. And really, as long as you're putting in at least a fourth of a lemon, you're going to get the benefits of that into about eight ounces of water. I like to do mine hot, like a tea, but you can obviously do room temperature if, especially if you are feeling a little overheated, you might just do room temperature water with your lemon. Avoiding processed foods. This is going to go a long way in supporting the liver. Limiting our things like fried, spicy, and heavy foods. Um, and spicy, again, in the summer when the heat is coming in, it's just not the best time for spicy foods. This is the time of year that I tell my clients if you really feel like you need some ice cream, this is the time of year that ice cream is going to be not necessarily appropriate, but a better time digestive wise. We're talking about cleansing the liver. You probably don't want to do ice cream, but just as a general note, that's typically what I tell my clients. Um, but avoiding spicy foods in the heat is going to help to support the liver again because the liver already has that heat. It already has a lot of pitta in it. And so we want to make sure that we are not overwhelming it. Also, things like refined sugars and alcohol, which will burden and overload the liver. Pitta pacifying foods. So, if you have a pitta constitution, and even if you don't, this is the time of year that we want to focus on pitta pacifying. Incorporating cooling foods like cucumbers, melons, coconut. Coconut oil is a great thing to use for the skin this time of year because it's going to help balance that excess heat that is just naturally in the season. Herbal remedies, we talked a little bit about these on the podcast as well. Turmeric, which is known for its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Turmeric supports our liver health, and it can be consumed as a spice or in an herbal formulation. So you can have it, you can have turmeric root in teas. You can have the turmeric powder you can sprinkle on food, or there are supplements. Personally, turmeric is something that I pretty much put on just about everything that I eat. I don't feel if you are eating it that you need a supplement unless there's something going on. And we talk a lot about the importance of working with an Ayurvedic counselor or a holistic nutritionist or someone who is educated in supplemental herbs because it's just not always necessary that you are going to need a supplement. We want to approach things from an Ayurvedic perspective through diet and lifestyle first. And usually that is effective. I would say 85% of the time effective in um, helping to support whatever it is that you are looking for, just in changing and or adding some different foods into the diet that makes it just not necessary to have a huge list of supplements. We want really to get our nutrients out of the food that we're eating. That's the easiest way for our body to recognize it, and it's the most safe way to ensure that you are not getting too much of any one nutrient, especially if we're talking about synthesized supplements that sometimes um, the body metabolizes differently and can actually build up in the system. For instance, if we're thinking about like vitamin A and carotenoid, that is something that if you eat, for instance, a bunch of carrots, you might turn yellow, but it's not going to overwhelm your system. It's not going to build up to the point that you're going to have issues. Whereas if you take a vitamin A supplement, that can happen, and you could have symptoms or issues because of too much. So that's just one example. And one of the reasons that we like to address things through food first. So again, using turmeric in a churna or sprinkling on your food is going to be more effective um, in a safe way than taking a supplement. Some other things that you might do for support of the liver. One of the safest things that Devin and I will work with is called Triphala. Again, I would recommend if you want to try that you talk with Devin or I or another healthcare professional. That will help with gentle detoxification if you are having some liver issues. And it also helps with bowel regulation. So if you are having any kind of issues with bowel regularity, it does help. And it's a very gentle, very mild um, approach to that or impact on that. Milk thistle is something that you might have in teas. This is a liver protectant. And again, you wouldn't necessarily need a supplement for that, but you could just make a tea, a loose leaf tea, or purchase a tea that has that in it. And then dandelion root is probably one of the most well-known and something we didn't mention on the podcast. Um, but dandelion root acts as a liver tonic and it helps to stimulate bioproduction. This is also something that is helpful if you have had your gallbladder removed. If you know that you're going to eat something that does have fat in it, which you would want to focus on healthier fats for sure, in that instance, and really for all of us. But the dandelion root can help to stimulate that production through the liver so that you have an easier time of breaking down those fats. So, some things we mentioned on the podcast, I think Guducci was another one. And I can't remember if there was anything else, but the uh, the milk thistle, dandelion root, and turmeric are all things that you can have in teas. Again, you don't necessarily have to purchase a supplement for that. Lifestyle practices, regular exercise, making sure that we are moving in some sort of regular physical activity, like yoga, walking, swimming is particularly wonderful this time of year, especially when we think about cooling the body. If we're getting into that nice cool pool, we are definitely going to be cooling down the system, and that's going to benefit the liver as well. What you want to watch out for, of course, in like a swimming pool situation is the chlorine that you might be exposed to. So if you're in a public pool or a gym pool or something like that, you do want to be mindful that you want to drink additional liquids. You want to help flush that out to help support the liver. If the liver is particularly overwhelmed, you would want to avoid swimming in chlorinated or overly chemical laden pools. Um, Lakes, oceans, those would all be great. Um, and they're going to help to support that movement, that exercise is going to help support circulation and detoxification. Anytime we're moving our body, we're moving our lymph, and our lymph also is a part of that process of getting the toxins out of the system. And our lymph only moves when we move. So if we are sedentary for the majority of the day, we are not getting that lymph moving. And so that's an important process as well. Stress management practices like meditation, deep breathing, and yoga help reduce our stress levels. We mentioned some pranayama practices. Satali is probably the most effective, but you could do any type of pranayama um, to help with stress and relaxation. Satali breath, we can take a moment and practice that. So if you just come to a comfortable seat and you might rest the hands on the legs, in the lap, or on the belly, and maybe close your eyes or half close the eyes and allow yourself to arrive in the body. Maybe take just a nice full breath in through the nose. And then exhale through the mouth. Let's actually do that a couple more times. Going to set the tone here. Nice full breath in. Exhale. Nice full breath in. Exhale it out. And Satali breath, we are going to inhale through the mouth and exhale through the nose. And so if you can curl your tongue, that is suggested for this. If you can't curl your tongue, you can just purse the lips as if you were using a straw to pull the breath in. So taking either of those and then inhaling through the mouth and exhaling through the nose. And we'll take a few rounds. Inhale through the mouth. Exhale through the nose. 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 And then continue here, breathing, inhale through the mouth, exhale through the nose. And as you are doing this, I want you to imagine as you take that inhale through the mouth, you're drawing in all the fresh, pure oxygen, fresh, pure air. And imagine that air moving up through the head, coming up towards the top of the head, moving down the forehead and out through the nose, cleansing and clearing everything out of the system. And then continuing to breathe in through the mouth, out through the nose. Imagine the breath coming in through the mouth. And now we're going to move down the throat, all the way down the body, all the way into the arms, legs, fingertips, toes, and then back up the system through the torso, back of the neck, up through the head, top of the crown, forehead, down and out through the nose. Again, taking the breath in through the mouth, down the throat, torso, down the arms, legs, fingers, toes, traveling back up the torso, back of the neck, back of the head, top of the crown, down the forehead, and out through the nose. And we'll take a few more rounds just envisioning this on your own, or if you like that shorter version, taking it through the head, but just allowing that visualization of cleansing, clearing, and cooling the system. And I'll walk you through a few more breaths. Inhaling through the mouth, cleansing, clearing, moving, exhaling through the nose, inhaling through the mouth, exhaling through the nose, inhale through the mouth, exhale through the nose. And then just come back to your natural pattern of breath. Just feeling the energy in the body, maybe noticing the shift in the mind, the breath. And gently opening the eyes, coming back into the space. So you can really feel the difference that that makes just in taking a few moments to work through some of the breath work. I know personally I feel much more centered and calm. I feel like we should have started with this, so maybe we'll do that in the next video. Um, Going back to our lifestyle practices along with our stress management, we will also want to make sure that we are getting adequate sleep. This is so important for everything that our body does, but also in particular with regards to our natural detoxification process. In the nighttime when we're sleeping, our body, our liver is responsible for cleaning up and taking care of getting those toxins out of the body. And so, we talk a lot about like what time we eat. In the podcast, we talk about having your larger meal during the day, more towards the noon hour or as close to that as you can get, and avoiding eating in late night in the evening a heavy meal or a larger meal. So, for sure, by 9 o'clock, you want to be done eating. And if you are having snacks after 6 or 7, you want that to be something light and easy to digest. Because what happens is if we go to bed and we've just eaten a full meal or, something particularly heavy, hard to digest, our liver is going to spend the night trying to process that out of the system rather than what it should be focusing on while we're sleeping, which is repair, and detox, getting everything out of the system, like those things we talked about before, the chemicals, the things we inhale, all the toxins, the plastics, things like that. That's what we want our liver to be focusing on, moving out of the system rather than working on that late night snack or meal. Um, Supporting this detoxification practice, we talk a lot about seasonal cleanses. And so Devin and I and all the clients we work with do seasonal cleanses, typically 3 to 7 days, depending on how each individual is feeling, what their particular situation is. But you can also do a 1 day reset anytime if you're just feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or like a 3 day liver cleanse. Again, we have that on our website if you are looking for some extra support. But the seasonal cleanses help to just get us prepared for the next dosha that's coming into, like for instance, right now we're coming into that Pitta dosha, and so we did our seasonal cleanse in the spring to help kind of transition and get ready for that. We'll do another small cleanse right around that transition into summer. And that is the time that I like to do a liver cleanse because, again, we're moving into the heat of summer. And so doing that Love Your Liver cleanse really helps to get everything prepared, um, so that your liver is in a healthy state before we move into that hot season. Panchakarma, this is something that you would do with an Ayurvedic counselor or practitioner. And this is a detoxification program that includes additional therapies like oil massage, steam treatments, and other different ways you might use herbal enemas and cleansing the body to support liver health. So this is something you would do with guidance. I would not recommend doing this on your own, especially if you're going to get into herbal enemas and that type of deeper cleanse. You want to work with someone who does have some education in that. But you can include things like self-massage into your own daily practice, and that will help um, support the lymph, the circulation, and the gentle detoxification of the system. And again, this time of year, we would use coconut oil. We talk about this a lot. I like to do it at night. I think Devin likes to do it in the morning. Um, and sometimes it depends, for both of us. But it is nice anytime that you do it, and you're just gently massaging the lotion on. If you're not sure how to do that, there is another video where Devin talks about all of the dry brushing and Abhyanga and tongue scraping and a few other of those kriyas. And then with the self massage, the one thing that is important is making sure that you're doing the belly going up on the right, down on the left. And you can check out that video that Devin did if you have some more questions about Abhyanga. But coconut oil is appropriate this time of year. You might put a little bit of lavender, and you don't need a lot, like 1 drop of lavender for, your half an ounce or whatever for your massage, or maybe a little peppermint. Any cooling, soothing, calming florals are great this time of year because they do have that soothing, calming, cooling quality for the pitta. So those would be appropriate. And then things like spearmint, peppermint would also be appropriate. for additions to your self massage. Um, Balancing your doshas, consulting with an Ayurvedic practitioner or counselor, we can give you a personalized recommendation based on your dosha and your current health status to help provide targeted support for your liver care. So if you do want that, you can always contact myself or Devin, or you can shoot us an email at tulaanandainfo@gmail.com. You can also we have online consultations available, so you can just go on the website and you can directly purchase that there, and then we will send you the information to fill out. We do all of the work, we get it back to you, or you can choose a Zoom consultation where we would meet via Zoom. So just some options if you're looking for a little extra support. Again, we have that 3-day liver detox if you would like to try that as well. We talked about foods, and I'll break it down a little bit more for each dosha. So, Vata dosha, which is dry, light, and cold, you want this time of year to focus on warm, moist. Some people can't stand that word, and it just sounded funny when I said it. Warm, wet foods. Things like cooked leafy greens, squash, sweet potatoes, beets, carrots, because they have those grounding qualities. Sweet fruits like bananas, pears, cooked apples for that warmth and moisture. Nuts and seeds, almonds and sunflower seeds, and you can always soak that. And you just soak them overnight and then you eat them just like you normally would. Healthy fats like ghee and olive oil to add moisture. Vata is one that this time of year, if coconut oil does feel too drying, you could use olive oil for your self massage instead. Vatas want to avoid cold, raw foods and excessively dry and rough foods. If you are a Pitta dosha, you are intense, hot, and light. And you want to include leafy greens, kale, spinach, and cilantro to help cool the body. We typically do like to lightly steam those. Um, Blood purifiers like beets and carrots. Bitter foods, dandelion greens, turmeric. Cooling foods, apples, pears, and avocados. And healthy fats like coconut oil and ghee for nourishment without overheating. You want to avoid heavy, oily, spicy, and fried foods that can aggravate your dosha. Kaphas, heavy, slow, and cold. We want to include light, stimulating foods, leafy greens like kale and arugula. These will help invigorate, and arugula has that peppery flavor to it. Bitter, pungent foods like dandelion greens, turmeric, and ginger for digestion. Astringent foods such as apples and pears. These help to balance kapha's heaviness. And spices, warming spices like black pepper and mustard seeds to stimulate digestion. Healthy fats used in moderation. Things like ghee and oils like mustard. And you want to avoid heavy, oily, creamy, and overly sweet foods that can increase your kapha. General recommendations: hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Regardless of your dosha, drink plenty of herbal teas, warm waters, maybe with a little lemon, maybe a little honey, to help support detoxification. Avoid processed foods, refined sugars, and excessive alcohol. Again, those are going to burden the liver. Um, We talked about herbs that liver loving spices. We already mentioned turmeric, ginger is another one, coriander, fennel, and then also cinnamon and cardamom. Those are some that you might, again, you could put in a churna or you can purchase a churna from our website, but just adding those on anything that you eat. a daily liver loving routine, just to walk you through some of the things that we mentioned. In the morning, you would do your tongue scraping, and that's something Devin and I also very passionate about doing. Very important. If you do see, especially in the morning, if you have a film on the tongue, white, beige, or um, gray, couldn't think, or yellow, then you want to remove that. You don't want to swallow it. So we tongue scrape, maybe oil pull, brush your teeth, and then warm lemon water, as we talked about. Your movement, exercise, whatever that is. And then midday, having your larger meal around that noon time. Liver supportive meals, greens, grains, spices, dandelion, licorice, um, those types of things. Evening, light, earlier dinner, preferably before 6, and then not eating after 9 p.m. At the latest. Doing your self massage, maybe with your coconut oil, and then winding down with maybe some golden milk or some warm herbal tea. So, though that's just kind of walking you through the day. Um, but we want to love our liver all the time. Um, so just keeping some of those things in mind, and knowing that everything that we, you know, take in or on the skin, breathe in, eat, think, all of those things are being processed by the liver. And so just being kind, gentle, using some mindfulness as you move through your day and your life, to support not just your liver, but your overall well-being. Um, so your liver works hard for you and you want to love it back. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope that you got some more information from this talk, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys again next month or the month after that. Um, have an awesome day.